While we all await the coming hotfix, let's take a minute to appreciate some of the sillier aspects of the current patch. There's some missing unit caps from the new single entities plus war machines unit cap, basically, that covers not only rare single entities, but like heroes and, like it says, war machines should be stuff like corpse carts and other things, but a few units are missing currently. The Eshin Maneater is one that is newly added. Doesn't count as a single entity, even though he definitely is one. Basically is an extra hero and definitely should be on the same cap list. A lot of the single entity artilleries, well, some of them are, some of them aren't. I'd have to go through and look. I didn't actually check all of them. I know the Empire ones actually count as rare single entities, right? If we're talking Steam Tank and the Luminarch, right? These two don't count as single entities or war machines, right? On either the rare single entity or the, single entity plus war machines plus heroes cap. That being said, they probably should, given their mobile artillery pieces that basically function as single entity chariots, and they're literally war machines in classifications in other ways, right? Like, very similar to those other types of units that we would call war machines. So, yeah, it results in a build like this from this ladder player who's up against Router Rohan here, who's got just all single entities, got a Paymaster, Brag, Eshin Maneater, Thunder Tusk. He's got the Lore of Fire Belly here, and some Scrap Launcher, Iron Blaster, and another Thunder Tusk. So, let's get things rolling here as the High Elves face off against them. It's going to be a couple of nobles here, some spearmen, techless. In the current broken state of the game, those factions without monstrous infantry or like heavy monstrous cavalry, pretty much like your line troop factions, right, like High Elves Empire, are going to be the least affected by the ongoing issues. So they're arguably going to be the strongest factions in the game right now. So definitely time for the High Elves to shine. But how will they do against whatever this is? These single entities rolling up here. You see the Thunder Tusks start to take some shots. Going to get some good contact here. The Iron Blaster also. Nothing too crazy. Takes a decent chunk, though, out of those Talons of Torquilada. Rest are moving up. The two nobles going to use their anti-large in melee. Try and pressure the Thunder Tusk a little bit here, but they definitely do not want to tangle with all that, so I'm going to have to hightail it out of there. Use that Elven speed. Going to get marked for Eshin, though, and run down by this absolute just train here. I mean, this is relatively inefficient, and just the absolute NLG block, too, from the one noble blocking multiple single entities. Yeah, when you issue your charge orders in that fashion and they're all chasing in a Congo line like that, they're not necessarily going to be actually getting attacks in, so kind of better to try and spread out and chase from multiple angles. Although, you need that charge speed to be able to keep up with that Elven speed without the debuffs. That being said, this noble is still just trying to run for his life here, taking some hits. Other noble taking some hits as well. You can see the mobile artillery pieces kind of maneuver down the side. Take up position on the flank, but Rider Rohan going to move up, secure the objective, and turn his archers to start firing. Scrap Launcher, Iron Blaster have decent armor, but not the most. Can definitely get through that with concentrated bow shooting. I say fire, but that's not necessarily right? You don't fire a bow. You shoot a bow, though. Do you? Anyway, let's not think too much about it, as there is literal fire raining from the sky from the Talons of Torquilada to get a little bit of a flammable debuff in here. Get some extra damage in. You can see the Phoenix Guard also holding the line. Spearmen kind of taking up position, so it's a little bit of a circle the wagons for the High Elves as they try and also not get completely blasted by the Thunder Tusk there on the move. Still takes a decent hit on those archers, but no models actually killed, all just pure HP damage. So, yeah, this is going to be some time here. Like I said, circle the wagons. The artillery will be firing from multiple directions, trying to move and shoot and not get caught in melee. But, of course, this is Conquest. This is the purpose of Conquest, is so that people can go onto ladder and really do some strange things, and you can still have somewhat of a structured game against them, not just be chasing them all over the map, right? Like, if this wasn't Conquest, if this was just regular land battles on ladder, Ryder Rohan would definitely be just running all over the place, but instead he can kind of post up, defend this objective. This infantry here, and kind of fight to a degree around it. Still, you know, not necessarily just sitting passively. Definitely reacting here, using whatever tools he can. Nice upgraded net to pin all these units down. The Noble gets in there. Both the Phoenix Guard get in there. Concentrated arrows on the Thunder Tusk. And, yeah, I mean, is this... Are we doing critical damage rolls? Is this like you hit the Ogres on top, counts for extra damage? Probably not. That would be cool. Not that Cold War needs more complication, but locational damage might be interesting for large single entities. You know, just thinking future titles potentially, right? Anyway, nice burning head here is going to cut through this line of archers, do some pretty good damage. That fire belly is definitely pretty threatening to a line formation like this. But the cavalry here, Dragon Princes going out and catching that Iron Blaster with the spears, going to be able to take that down, no problem. So Ryder Rohan just patiently kind of sticking to his bows, picking the Ogres apart here. And the hills also working very well in his favor. This map on Conquest, his objective up on the high ground, he can kind of post up here and defend as the Ogres try and skirt around the edges. Use that artillery. But Thunder Tusk taking even more damage here. Of course, the Kindle Flame also from net, specifically from Teclis, will also increase the damage of the Talons and other units with fire damage. I mean, I think the Talons are literally the only ones with fire damage, but still, it definitely helps them. And High Elven Bows are no slouch when it comes to damage, and especially accuracy. One thing a lot of people may not consider, but balance power slightly in the Elves' favor at this point. Single entity squad here, gonna run for the hills once more. Paymaster's definitely an interesting one. In this situation, mostly just here to be cheap and give some buffs, but actually not going to probably do very much. Bragg as... Whoa, he just killed something there. Yeah, execute the caster. Or one of the nobles, I guess, yep. Uses his executioner ability on one of the nobles, which is, you know, it's going to get some value back, but it's probably fine. Teclis also moving through, getting a little bit of damage on the Eshin Maneater here. You know, using that charge bonus, 35 charge plus 36 attack. Definitely no pushover against the 50 melee defense of the Maneater. Can get some damage, but not wanting to stay in combat and actually fight. He's going to run around, let the bows do their thing, and it's army losses for the Ogres. So, yeah, not that this is, like, insanely strong. It is a little bit degenerate, to be honest, and you could probably just straight up do it better if you were to change the hero composition to actually take healing. And, yeah, I mean, honestly, just having, like, a few, the Blood Vultures even, I'd probably trade the Scrap Launcher out just for some Blood Vultures, honestly, to screen cavalry. If you're really going to be degenerate about it and be the most effective degenerate you could, let's optimize that here if we can. But, yeah, definitely, I mean, it's a build. The Thunder Tusks are very strong, but they're not, like, completely the most broken thing we've ever seen. They're definitely undercosted for how good they are, but definitely manageable. Like I said, trade the Fire Belly out for some healing. Maybe just take a healing caster as your single entity here instead. And then you could swap in, like, a Bruiser here, or maybe you just take, like I said, some of the Blood Vultures to screen out cavalry, but Ryder Rohan, very veteran player, is not going to fall for such tricks. Just sticking to his staunch line of spears and bows, able to fend them off. So, yeah, it's just interesting how some of these unit caps are not super consistently applied. So, actually, again, didn't check this beforehand, but let's just all look together at Kislev here. So I would think Little Grom's probably a rare single entity. No, actually. So Little Grom actually doesn't count towards this unit cap either. So that does mean you can come in here and do things like, yeah, see this single entity characters, monsters, and war machines. I think the single entity artillery does need to count towards this cap. And, I mean, not that something like this is super strong, but I have unit caps enabled, right? And you still can do something like this. You know, come in here, maybe take in some heroes instead. Again, is it super strong? No, but I don't think, you know, the intent of that change, if I'm not mistaken, was to cut down on the, like, 6 single-entity armies that you sometimes run into on ladder. That being said, I could be wrong. Maybe the intent was never to include the artillery in that discussion, but I definitely think these single-entity artillery pieces, especially the mobile ones, that are sort of an all-in-one without a crew, right? Like, I would not include the Hell Cannon in this, because it actually does have a crew, even though it is one single quote-unquote artillery piece, right? It actually does have multiple entities and that it has a crew. So we're talking like proper single-entity only artilleries, right? Queen Bess would also not apply in this situation. But stuff like Little Groms, again, especially the mobile ones like the Corn, Skull Cannons also should count as war machines. It's so curious to me. Like, the Blood Shrine doesn't count towards this cap, but then, or the Skull Cannon doesn't count towards the cap, but the Blood Shrine does. Again, it's just not, it just doesn't seem consistently applied to me. So, again, hopefully Creative Assembly can correct that, or else maybe the intent was never to have it in the first place, in which case that's a little bit weird to me, and they should probably change that intent. But anyway, regardless, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.